Hey guys, welcome to really the first official Spark Academy live here on LinkedIn. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. And when I say we, I have some very special people waiting that are going to be joining me. If you saw the invite, my biz wife, as I call her, Jen, is joining me, and Markley Strunk is joining us. And we didn't know that Craig, the bots guy, was actually going to be joining us as well. So you guys are in store for a ton of information tonight. We're actually going to be going live tonight, tomorrow, and on Wednesday to really break this information up for you and break this down. And why are we doing this? Okay. You guys, a lot of you know my story, how I failed miserably at business back in the day. And I know that a lot of it could have been prevented by now. And the way that it could have been prevented was for me to go gain the knowledge as an entrepreneur that I needed. So, one of my favorite things to say to a lot of you is just because you're really good at what you do, it will not make you good at business, because there are foundational things that we need to build a business. And there's things that you're not going to know. So what do most of us do? We start to wing it. We figure it out eventually. But what does it really cost us in time and money and stress? You guys are looking at everyone else out there being super successful, and you're thinking to yourself, what am I doing wrong? And I'll tell you, a lot of you, it's not that you're doing something wrong. It's that you're not doing the things you need to do because you just don't even know what those are. So on night one tonight, I'm going to be bringing up Jen. If you guys, I think you've probably seen her live with me, but Jen Lomnick is my business partner, my biz wife, my biz bestie. Complete opposites that we are. I call her the squirrel wrangler because she keeps my crazy brain in check. She has a tremendous background in project management, and I can't wait for her to share her aspects. We have Markley joining us tonight, Markley Strunk. She is a huge part of our team now. We love having her on board. And of course, as we say, Craig Cameron, the bots guy. And what we're going to be talking about tonight are your business strategy audit, meaning where are you now? What is your strategy? Why do you have that strategy? Is it working for you? And we want to talk to you about a lot of the things that we've each found in our individual businesses, and then coming together as a team, what we found works for us. Because I think moving forward, what a lot of you are going to find is that you do need a team. And it doesn't mean that you have to hire an employee. It just means you've got to find the right people that you're approaching that same target in a different skill set, different wheelhouse, and you all get to work together. So we've been able to do that in a very unique way. I can't wait to share all of these things with you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up Jen first, and then I'm going to be bringing up Markley. So let's bring Jen up here.
Hello.
Hello. So I think, just for the sake, everyone really hasn't heard a lot from you. She's always, I say, you're the person behind the green curtain, turning all the wheels and gears. But tell everyone a little bit about you, your background especially, and then let's jump into a little bit of conversation before we bring up Markley and Craig.
Yeah, sure. So, really my area of expertise, my background is project management. And I fell into project management through the events industry. So I spent, it's crazy to say over 20 years. I keep saying over 20 years and sticking with that, but over 20 years in the corporate event world, planning events from 10 people to 10,000 people. And as you can imagine, with that size event, you're working with teams of 150 and multiple venues and all that. So long story short, it was a lot of project management and projects within that. So, Brandy and I actually just kind of connected through, nutrition school. We had some changes in lifestyle things that I'll leave it at that, changes that brought us together. But really the two of us, when we started talking business and what she was doing and her vision with the Phoenix Factor, and my area of expertise with, projects and systems and operations and time management and all those things, we realized that, like you said, Brandy, polar opposites in so many ways, but we absolutely fill each other's, the voids for each other. So the stuff that Brandy likes to do, I say, not my thing. And the stuff that I'm passionate about, all the details and timelines and making sure everything gets from point A to point Z without dropping any of the pieces in the middle, that stuff drives Brandy crazy, but I love it. So that's really kind of how you and I joined up with this.
Yep. And I think that's a good place to start. So, once again, those of you that follow me know I'm a straight shooter. I'm very transparent because I don't want you guys to make the mistakes that I made. We pivoted to working with entrepreneurs. So specifically, a lot of this information is going to be geared towards those of you that are service-based entrepreneurs.
Right.
Obviously, with Jen and I having a background in health, fitness, wellness, we like to cater to that industry. Specialized medical professionals. So, not your PCP or anything like that, but, that's how we came together, and we understand that. But we also found that, especially in that industry, you guys go to school, you get the degrees and you get the certifications and, all of the things, but you never really get what you need to create a sound business foundation.
Right.
And we both learned that together. And I had learned that before. So, when I originally started this, I had a brick and mortar wellness, center, and I loved what I did. And I had all these people, and I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And, through a lot of other circumstances, it fell apart. But looking back, one of the things I want to jump into tonight, and each person that comes up to speak, you're going to hear a different perspective. And I'm going to say to you, they're all equally important. So before we even start and you get overwhelmed with all the things that you're going to hear us mention tonight, should you eventually be doing them all? Yes, I think you should. Do you have to do them all right now? No, you do not. Right. So one of what I love about Jen is my practical, the good angel. You have the good angel and the bad angel. And whenever I want to go to do things, I know she always pulls back, and she is very methodical how she thinks about things and like what makes the most sense right now. So my head's up in the clouds, her feet are on the ground, and that's why, it works.
Right.
So, diving into the conversation, and when we work with clients, one of the first things we always ask them is give us the big 30,000 foot aerial view.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you're looking at a business strategy, for those of you that are going to be auditing your business, if you can't even answer that question, what you want the business to be, what it looks like, from a mindset standpoint, you've got to be able to dream, and it's scary, right?
Yeah.
But you got to be able to dream. But then if we break that down, because that's what you're so good at. So every time we meet with clients, I have specific questions I ask. I think more from the creative side. I love helping people connect and create the communities and the networking and the social media. And I love all that. But you really come down to the nuts and bolts of like, okay, you want this to happen in this amount of time. Mm-hmm. So let's jump into what are some of the things as we've been working with, more and more clients the last few years. What are some of the things we keep seeing over and over and over that they're not doing, and it's essential for them to have foundationally?
Right. Oh my goodness. And my brain, spirals with all these things because we run into a lot. And, I feel like fundamentally most entrepreneurs are so busy at that ground level looking at everything that they do need to take that 30,000 foot view. But at that ground level, it's the simple fundamental things. Do people know how to hire you? Do they know how to work with you? Is there a simple way for them to sign up for your services? So, I know we've run into that, just, that simple beginning process of onboarding a client. Do they have a way to do that? Do they have a way of, getting a contract out to a client? Do they have an onboarding checklist that helps them, decide if this is the right client to work with, or is it not the right client? Is it, are they spending all these times, we've talked about it, doing all of the free, consultation calls and wrong client. Well, you can spend days. You can spend a good part of your week doing all these onboarding calls with the wrong people. So, processes that way to kind of get them through that. Yes, this is the right client. Okay, now this is the client that I want to work with. Now, this is how we handle payment. This is how, like I said, all of the contract and terms and things that protect you as an entrepreneur. So, those are very basic, simple fundamentals. But when we get into it, a lot of them don't have that process down.
Mm-hmm. And so what I was going to do is, we keep a template that we go off of with every single client. For the most part, we dive into this big, huge, deep dive of everything that's going on, everything that they want to happen.
Right.
And, looking at that from overview. So I want to go to you and then go to Markley and then go to Craig, because this is something we all work on. And then of course we'll have Stacy here tomorrow night and talk a little bit more about that as well.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at my phone because I pulled up our Trello board so I'd read off. And I want all of you, once again, not to be overwhelmed, but really take a moment to think about all the things I'm about to list off that we ask that you either have in place or have an idea before you start business, or if you're ready to scale. These are a lot of the things that we talk about and discuss. So once again, we typically work with B2C entrepreneurs, service-based businesses. You're just starting out, or you're in the year 3 to 5 and you're ready to scale with a team. So we all come on as your team because you can't do all these things. You cannot do all the things. You've got to have help. You got to delegate, you got to outsource, or you got to bring on your team. So, and we know Markley's going to talk about that as well. And then of course with Craig, the beauty of it is a lot of the things that you get overwhelmed with can be automated. Right. So that's, talking about, so let me run through the list really quickly and I'll slow down because I talk really fast. So one of the things we first do is give us a business snapshot. So we're going to do a business audit. We're going to look at your business and where you say you want to be, where you are. We need to really have some real numbers to go on. And I will tell you firsthand, I don't know, Jen, I would probably say 70% of the people that when we start working with them, they have no clue about these numbers, and that's okay. That's what we're here for. Right. But to kind of get you ahead of the game. So we ask about, list every product, every service, the price, how the price breaks down. What is it really costing you to provide that thing? Now, if you're brand new and you haven't done that yet, you're like, well, I don't know, do projections. Think about what you think it's going to cost, right? What if you have current monthly sales? What are they? Where are they coming from? Are your conversions and your leads? Where are you seeing? Where you get? Where are you getting those from? Obviously, we need to pay a lot of attention to that because with social media, there's been a huge shift in lead generation. Of course, Craig will jump into that a little bit more later. What are your actual sales goals? Are they realistic? What's your capacity? At what point you need to know also when you're doing the audit, what point do you need to delegate? What point do you need to outsource? What are the things that if you wanted to make 500 an hour, this is one of the things we'd love to talk about. Jen and I make our conversations and our decisions based on not where we are now. Right. We base them on actually further ahead. So we're like, okay, as a $5 million company, $5 million a year, would we be doing this job or would we be outsourcing or delegating, right? And I heard, and I hate that I can't remember her name, but some of the best advice I heard a girl saying that her dad taught her is, yes, in the beginning, a lot of you are solopreneurs and you're going to be doing all the things. But the best thing you could do is find the quickest way to fire yourself from each of those jobs as well. Meaning get to the point that you can, once again, delegate, outsource, automate, whatever that thing is, so that you're not exhausted and worn out. Because if you're a service-based entrepreneur and you're doing all the things working in your business, you don't have as much to give to work on your business, to work with your clients and to serve your clients. And then the essentials, we talked about website, we audit the website. A lot of you, your website, people come to your website and they're going to decide like that, if they're going to scroll or if they're going to go away. And Jen, you just nailed a couple of things. You said, is it easy to find, easy to tap, on the buttons? I know Craig always says, set up a chat bot. Like, people need to be able to have these conversations. And I know he'll do a much better job. I won't do it justice, but you guys, automation is so incredible because you don't have that many hours to do all the things, but people love that instantaneous gratification of getting an answer, and you can personalize those things. So get away from, especially I'll say my age, those of you that are close to 50 or older, we didn't grow up with social media and all those things. Well, who cares what you grew up with? You're now, what do you need now in your business to get it to the point of success? Sure. The other thing we talked about was email subscribers. And then we always bring up, what are some things when we're auditing the business that you're working on, that you have to work on, but what are the things that you can make money in your sleep? And a lot of you are not thinking about that. So we hear about all the time, people are making courses, evergreen courses. They have downloads people can buy, products that they can buy. And, you don't think you're in a place to do that, but You do. It's in your brain. We just needed to get it out of your brain onto paper and create these ebooks or create these guides or these downloads or these checklists. But you're leaving a lot of money on the table by not having those available. We have a few that you can download now with the Spark Academy. We're creating a whole resource library, and I'll tell you guys more about the Spark Academy later. We bring up avatars.
Mm-hmm.
So
where we working. Right.
What, and you've really dug in. I mean, obviously this last year. So what do you feel like is the most important for some like things for people to know about their avatars when they're auditing that part of their business strategy?
You're not working with everybody. I mean, the number of people, right, that we talk to and we say, who's your avatar? Who is this product or service for? Or who are you servicing? And they say, well, I can work with everyone. And
Yes.
No, I mean, yes, technically you can, but you're doing yourself a huge disservice by not really honing in on who your target market is. And by casting this huge umbrella, it's hard for people, it's hard for your ideal client to really say, you know what, that's the product or service or company that I need to work with. It's hard for them to connect with it. So that's, I mean, right off the bat, I would say that's the biggest number one takeaway with that one.
And to flip that around, which is a huge learning lesson that Jen and I have also learned, who do you want to work with? Like,
exactly.
You need to define that, because you're going to end up with some nightmare clients if you don't. So when you're auditing, not only knowing who your ideal client, but this is why we get into what we call the psychographics now, because back in the day it was like, her name's Sally and she's 35 and she's a mom and she makes 50,000 a year, whatever, that is. But honestly, it's more like, what do they like? What do they not like?
Right.
What are their hobbies? What are their pain points that you're going to be able to solve by turning those into solutions for them? So for us, we know with our ideal client avatars is they don't have the time or the creative outlet to do a lot of the things that we do. And the second part is the new ones with the newbies, that are in their infancy. They're like, oh, I love, like, I love being a trainer. I love nutrition. I love helping people get better. I'm going to go start a business. And then 2-3 months in, you're like, oh crap, how do I find clients? And when I get clients, how do I do a website and where do they go? And, oh, and I went live the other day and I got 50 messages and I don't know what to do with these people. So we're trying to pull you back in, or, as I say, squirrel wrangler, there you go, pull everything back in and audit your business from the standpoint of operations where you already are successful. So what does that look like? That's the big things that you want to look at. Allow yourself that time and literally write it down, you guys. Don't just think about it, because you're going to need to write it down so that you can take everything you write and put it into action, create actionable steps. So Jim, before we go to Markley and Craig, what's the big advice that you could give on that? So when they're auditing, they got this big picture, right? And we know they all they think they're so busy.
Right.
I know where you're going to go with this. I already prompted you.
Yeah, you know where.
So let's give them some feedback on that, because they're like, oh, you don't understand. I'm just so busy.
Well, and I, excuse me, I hear that, time and time again, and we are busy, but busy doing what? And when you really start to break down, I mean, I walk clients through time blocking and really looking at where you're spending your time. Are you doing things like we do? Well, our biggest thing is we do a brain dump. So sit down, let's get everything off your brain. What's everything that you've got, all the, the personal things, the obviously business related things. What are the things that are sitting on the back burner? What are the things that you never seem to get to? They're always just kind of sitting back there. What are all those things? And then the wish list things like, man, if I could get to this, or I really want to write that ebook, or I really want to do those things, get all that down on a piece of paper. And then we start to prioritize it. Okay. And I won't walk through the whole process, but we start to prioritize that. And once we really start to block time out in the day hey, this is when I'm working on marketing. This is when I'm working on, social media, if that's what you're doing. This is when I'm working on proposals. This is, and being intentional with your time in your business and taking the time to offload the things that you don't want to do. at the end of that exercise, literally every single time people say, "Oh my gosh, I have so much more time. I have plenty of time. Wow, I could add this in. Wow, I could add," and it's mind-boggling to them how much time they actually do have, because I think so many feel like, I don't have an extra minute in the day. I couldn't possibly manage all that. But when you really, really look at it, there's plenty. So if I could say anything, it would be, yeah, outsource the stuff that is driving you crazy if you can, and just really, find a way to hone in on what you're really good at. And it's also, I mean, we talk about it. Focus on the one thing. Focus on one thing that's going to bring revenue in, and then start to build. And the list that Brandy was going through, it is overwhelming when we start working with clients sometimes, because it is a lot that you need to potentially be working on. But it's what can I do today, and what am I doing in this hour? What am I doing in the next 8 hours to kind of get through this day? But I would say that's my biggest advice, is just I said it the other day, we were in Clubhouse. I said, listen, we've got the same number of hours a day as Beyonce or anybody else. Like, use your time, the best way that you possibly can. And if they can do it, so can we. So
yeah. I mean, you have to start somewhere. And I mean, once again, why spend 5-10 hours a week working on something that you can outsource or delegate to someone, and it's going to take them 2 hours? I mean, we know we've kind of gotten our systems down. We know how many hours it takes to create a month of content, or we know how long it takes when we're doing engagement for a client. I mean, there's some things you can't project, like if we're working on branding design or developing branding, we have just that flat fee that we work from. But once again, when you come back into this, if you're always working in your business, doing all the things, and you don't have a strategy or system, because what's going to happen when if or when you start to scale or grow, if you can't handle it now, it's going to be chaos. I've had all this happen, I'm telling you, and it makes you look really bad. It makes you look real bad with the existing clients that you have. So this is another thing about doing the audit and understanding where you are and where you want to be, so that, once again, when you work with Jen and she's like, okay, when you hit this point, you're going to need to start thinking about outsourcing, delegating, hiring a team, because over the next 6 months from there, you're going to see this scale, and you're going to need help. And that is priceless to know that information before it happens. Or you're on your own and you're like, well, I can't do all this. What am I going to do? And it's going to show up.
Right.
You're going to have too many clients.
Sorry about that. I was going to say, it's also documenting those processes too, so that when you do get to that point, you can pass it off to somebody. You can bring somebody in on your team. Mm-hmm. You can show them those standard operating procedures to say, this is how we do this. So
that came up so many times in the conversation the other day. We were having with a lot of other entrepreneurs, and all of them said, if I went back, and I think I asked it on Facebook as well. Mm-hmm. And everyone said SOPs. So even if it's just you and you're thinking, oh, I'm just starting a little old business or a side hustle or whatever, still do it anyway. Because if you change your mind and you go to grow and scale, you already have everything on how things are going to be done. It's laid out. I mean, I didn't do that either, and definitely regret it, because you want to think, because you know everything in your business as you're growing. You have all this stuff in your head. And I can see it now when I start talking to people, and they glaze over. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, I'm losing them. But if I had, the procedures, is go, okay, here you go through this. I have the videos. I mean, these days there's so many opportunities. You literally, like, we're on StreamYard right now. Okay. You could record your own video. When you download it, you can download the video, you can download the audio, and you can download the text. You could pull the text and put it into a document, tweak it, done.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is that simple. And if you're like, oh, I'm technologically challenged, which we hear all the time, then that's why you work with us. That's why we do those things for you, so that they're done. And I know it seems like a lot, and it is overwhelming. I don't sugarcoat that. It is overwhelming in the beginning, but guess what? If you do it right the first time, you get these strategies and these systems down right off the bat, then guess what? Moving forward, it's not. You don't even understand how much frustration and stress you're going to avoid by doing this. And I don't care. Every entrepreneur, I'm sure, will agree with that. You're still going to fail. You're still going to stumble. It is what it is. We're not talking about that, but we're just talking about being as prepared as you can and realizing there are things that you do not know that will eventually have you hitting a wall versus working with. And this is why we came up with the Spark Academy. So we have all these coaches with these different backgrounds. So once we all get to dive in to your vision and what your goals are, because of our different skill set and the way that we've worked and our, the perception of where you're going, we get to offer all this different advice to you. So imagine that. Imagine sitting, it's like going into a room and you have 9 coaches sitting in front of you with all these different backgrounds and getting all that advice back from everyone based on, like Jen has her project management background, and I have marketing and network, but I also, if you're in fitness and wellness, if your ideal client, Jen and I are almost always the ideal client, I feel like right now in that area. So we can even give you real-time feedback on that. But, I think that's super important to realize that I think the biggest lie that entrepreneurs tell themselves, the most expensive lie I think that entrepreneurs do tell themselves is, I'll figure it out as I go. I don't need a coach. I don't need help.
Right.
And it's because you think you can't afford one, which is, we started Spark Academy. It's $49 a month. So we eliminated that excuse. So now it's just get out of your comfort zone and let's do this. Right.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to bring Markley up with us for a few minutes, and then Jen, and then we'll get Craig up here, but I'm going to get Markley to join us. Hello. So Markley, you've been listening in. I'm going to go through a couple more things going through the audit. So we can touch on, and I know we're going to get to a certain point where you and Craig are definitely going to come into this conversation. So we talked a little bit about when you first start out, knowing what the big picture is. And then really you have to think about everything that's needed to make that big picture happen. And I don't think as a new entrepreneur, unless you have the experience or you have an MBA, I don't think you're really going to know all the things. So you have to go to a coach or go study something to find those answers. We've all been there. The 3 of us have been there for sure, right? And we hear it all the time, client after client after client. So we have this list, and I'm going to read off a couple of other things. I'm going to talk about branding really quick as part of your audit. Some of you are very confused about branding, so you keep throwing a logo on there, and you're like, okay, I'm good to go. I got a logo, and branding is not your logo. I will say this. I can say this with complete confidence now that if you're following me, I'm about fire. I say I'm going to light a fire under your ass. I say I'm going to help you ignite your passion in your business. I tell you I'm going to help you burn through things, rise up in success. Like I brand myself around the Phoenix Factor as a code that I live by. And with the Spark Academy, with all the fire, like how do you build a fire? Right? How do you keep fanning the flames in your business? How do you create an inferno of success? I live and breathe the thought process and the mindset, but it took me almost 4 years to get there. So don't feel this immense pressure. And that's really all I'm going to say about that. But don't feel this immense pressure to go in all strong with the brand right off the bat, because you don't even know who you are when you're first starting out. And I know you guys, some of you are going to get suckered into spending thousands of dollars. And I'm telling you right now, most of you don't have it figured out. So take a step back and give it some time. But whatever that message is, whatever those keywords are, because across every platform that has become super important, is using those keywords. Make sure that you do start practicing that. And one of the tips I learned while you're auditing your business, go back and audit your copy. Go back and audit videos that you've done in the past. If you have ever spoken in front of others. And I learned this really unique. The girl says, so watch it once with no sound and watch your body language and see what your face and your body say to the crowd. Then go back and just listen to the words that you're saying if they couldn't see you. And then what do you think they're feeling, right? Because that's your brand. It's the feeling you're giving someone about how you want them to feel about your business, right? So a lot of us, they think brand like Nike, but Nike is, the sport, or you feel like part of the community. Apple, people see the Apple. I mean, it's a thing. Like I'm an Android user. It's like Jen and I always have the, playfully, but we butt heads about it. And it's a thing, right? So you're creating raving fans, and that's the symbol of your community. That's the symbol of what you represent. It's a symbol of how you're making people feel. So if you really want to get, obviously the best advice ever as far as branding, because we're not going to get into a lot of that tonight, is I'm a huge Marty Neumeyer fan. Everybody knows that. It's easy to follow. His book is super easy to break down. Highly suggest you reading several of his books. And The Brand Gap and Zag are two of my favorites. Scramble is another one, but love him. And then follow Chris Do. So the future, but follow Chris Do, because I'm telling you, he's a genius. I love the way he breaks down branding as well. But there's a lot of people out there for that. So now let's get into it, ladies. So the next thing I have on actual business strategy, and then we're going to bring Craig up. A couple of things I always say to everyone: if I was going to simplify this and give you items that I feel like you need to look at from your business strategy, you need to audit where you are and what you need to implement and what you need to get help with. I put attention. How are you going to get attention in the first place? Okay, you got this service. How are people going to find out about it? And if you think you're going to post once a week, twice a week, and that's all you're going to do, it's more power to you. But I'm telling you, it's not going to happen, because we've all done that too. All right. Once you do get their attention, once you come up with a strategy to grab attention, which takes time and consistency, once you have that, and how do you keep their interest? That's next. Once, email drips, email campaigns, ads, going live, having groups, having a community, having a membership, whatever that thing is, then lead generation. So as the leads coming in, how are you going to get all those leads? Obviously, we're going to tell you to automate, because it makes the most sense, right? And then it goes to the CRM. And like I said, I'll let Craig give you the lowdown on all that. But you need a strategy around that. You need to see what's working and what's not working. This crushed me when I first started by myself. It crushed me because I didn't have a clue. I had the gift of gab. I went networking. I went to events. I picked up a few clients, and I struggled. I wasn't charging enough. I mean, all of the things that we're going to be talking about over the next 3 days. I hope that you really take some time and either, get your laptop, tablet, phone, computer, notebook and pen, whatever you're going to use, and really put some thought into some of these things, especially if you're not seeing the growth that you want to see. It needs to come back to you implementing the right systems and the processes, for sure. And then I put sales funnel, ad campaign, CRM, sales pipeline versus sales funnel. So this is super important, because a lot of you are leaving money on the table because people get into your pipeline and then they get stuck and you don't even realize it. And you could have done one little reach out or one little thing, and who knows, you could upsell, you could downsell, but you could have sold in general. But you need to know where they are in that pipeline. And a lot of people talk about funnels. We have created a fan. So we don't funnel anymore. We want you to stay with us forever, but not in a stalky way. We talk about community. We talk about retention and renewals. What kind of strategy do you have for retaining your clients, if that makes sense? Have recurring clients, loyalty programs, referral programs, all of those things. Community is super important in the year of 2022. Collaboration and community, as you see tonight, the 4 of us that are here with you tonight, plus others. And collaboration is,
right.
I mean, it's done wonders for all of us already. And just so you all know, we have not, the 4 of us tonight, we have never, well, Jen and I live 10 minutes from each other. So, but the rest of us, we've never met in person. And of course, we feel like family because we've all worked together. We continue to work together. We'll see each other when we have our, in-person event, but don't limit yourself to where you are. Even if you're a localized business, if you're a brick and mortar and you're working on your business strategy, reach out to other people maybe that have like businesses like yours that are doing really well in other areas. See if there's some things that you can duplicate, have those conversations. A lot of people do want to help, So I'm going to stop there. So based on the attention, the interest, the email, the lead gen, the sales funnel, ad campaign, CRM, sales pipeline, retention and renewals, community and collaboration.
Phew.
Right? Are you overwhelmed yet? And once again, like I said, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because at the end of the day, you eventually need to be at the point where you can answer all of those things confidently. and be able to implement consistently. And that's what we're here for. But we want you to know where you should be. So Markley, introduce yourself to everyone. Tell them a little bit about you, and let's the three of us break down this first part before I bring Craig up on automations and lead gen.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Markley Strunk, and I'm a virtual assistant. So I was able to kind of break into my business by my past experiences that I've had. I was an executive assistant at Indiana University, and I was also a paralegal for a little bit over 6 years. So I learned a lot, paid attention to detail. So I was able to help a lot of people. So I was like, why don't I take that into my own? And so I'm able to do that as a virtual assistant with the Phoenix factor. So it's really great. I love what I do. I'm able to kind of be that person behind the curtain that people don't see that's really kind of keeping those gears turning. So it's really nice. I love it.
Awesome. Well, we love having you here. And Jen and I could tell everyone many stories, and not in a bad mouthing way, but just because we weren't clear on what we needed to fit our bill.
Right.
But we learned some lessons, and we can share those with you as well on things that you want to look for. We knew we were going to need help. We knew we were going to need to outsource, delegate. There are things that Markley can do like that, and it would take me or Jen probably 2 hours. I don't know. And it just makes sense because, as I always say, then I can go back to my zone of genius. Jen can go back to her zone of genius. Markley's already in her zone of genius. And it really makes everything run so much more smooth, and it shows up. It shows up in the work. I think that's one of the biggest compliments. I think when we meet with clients and we go through this elaborate setup, and they have that look on their face, but they realize, like, holy crap, what if they had gone to another coach or another course or another situation,
Right.
that they didn't get that? How many years or months or whatever. And we've had clients like that. We have a client that spent a lot of money on all these different strategies, but never implemented one consistently.
Mm-hmm.
So let's jump into the first part. So for Markley, from your standpoint, I know you help everyone. How have you seen that shift their business by them delegating and outsourcing to you, and what kind of things do you work on?
So a lot of people really don't realize when they need to start outsourcing. So that's a struggle. They'll either, most of them come to a plateau. So whether it's, sales, they just don't have enough time in the day. Like you were talking about earlier, Jen, I'm so busy, I can't do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So when they actually realize, okay, I can start outsourcing something, or a lot of them stumble and they're like, why would I hire somebody where I can do this in 20 minutes and it's going to take them 2 hours to do this? And they're right, probably for that first time, that second time, and maybe even that third time. But once we're able to take that over for them, how many times do you do that in a day, in a month, in a year, that someone else has now taken over that task and that they could even cut the time in half of what you used to spend for that? So it's really important when people actually start delegating out, they're like, oh, well, I'm spending money for this, but I'm able to stay in my zone of genius. And so now my sales are growing. So it's hard for people to wrap their head around that at first. I have to spend money to make money, but it works. It works. It's great.
Yeah, I think that's something I brought up when I went live in the Spark Academy the other day. Is a lot of you, when you think about spending money, you think it's gone. But what you have to understand, all the things that we're talking about when you're auditing your business, and we come to you and say, we highly recommend you investing in this CRM and these automations, and then having, this many hours with Markley or her team. Just all the things that we bring up, it's an investment. And the reason, what you have to look at is, let's just pick a round number. Let's say you're going in at, $2,500 a month for everything. But 3, 4, 5, 6 months later, you're bringing in $25,000 a month. It's worth the investment, right? But you're right. You got to spend it, because if you don't, it's going to be you by yourself spinning your wheels, banging your head against the wall, trying to figure everything out. And you're just, we're not built that way. I mean, there are very few people that are really going to be able to figure everything out on their own. And by the time they do, they're going to be so over being an entrepreneur. They're not going to be in love with their business anymore. They're not going to feel passionate. They're going to be burnt out. And people are going to, I mean, we can even pick it up now on Clubhouse. We can hear it in their voice without even seeing them now, So if you guys are joining us, one of the things I would love for you to do, because we're going to be live every night, we'd love to know about your business. So definitely drop the name of your business or your website link in the comments. We'd love to go and research them, talk to you a little bit about that this week. If you would like to be a guest, you can actually go ahead and comment the word guest, and we will reach out to you to bring you up so you could join us and ask your questions in real time. So Markley will actually be the one to reach out to you if you comment. And we'll get some information. And if you can't join us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we also go live and we do something what we call the burn seat. I know it sounds painful, but it's actually not. But what we'd love to do is we want to help you burn through challenges. That's what the burn seat is. So if you're just feeling super stuck, if you've been auditing your business or you think you have a strategy, but it's just not working, you're like, we say it all the time, I've tried everything. And what I gently remind you guys is you've tried everything that you can think of, but you haven't tried everything. Okay. So the beauty of bringing all these coaches in to support you is you're going to hear our perspective, our thoughts, and our ideas and feedback and tips and tools and resources that we can offer you during that time. And it's free, you guys. It's free. We like doing it because we want to show you how we work. We want to show you it's possible. We want to show you that we are the experts to go to in the Spark Academy and what we can do, because there's just so much talk out there. We just want to show you that we can do it. So that's really, why we're doing that. Jen, I'm gonna tuck you back down into the queue, into the studio. I'm gonna bring Craig up so that Craig and Markley and I can jump into more of that systems and apps section, and then I'll bring you back up shortly. Y'all, if y'all want to see, this is why, because this is the Brady Bunch. Are you ready? The Brady Bunch. So, all right, we need to get everybody on one night and come up with a song for all of us, so we can officially be the Brady Bunch.
There we go.
I'm going to tuck you down, and we'll come back. All right, Craig is with us. Craig is our boss.
Hey.
So Craig, we were obviously kind of jumping into the section. I wanted to bring you and Markley up to talk about. You work so closely together with a lot of our clients as well. And when we start to implement these systems and all the things that need to be done that I don't even want to touch. And I'm going to tell you guys straight up, I do not want to do it. It is worth every penny to invest in having, saying, okay, this is your zone of genius. You do this. And I'll just keep talking to people and networking because that's what I love to do. So let's talk a little bit about how they're getting attention, when that attention comes to them, what they're doing with that, how they capture leads, and really kind of almost how you and Markley are working where, the automation comes in, we have email campaigns, we have follow-ups. So I'll let you lead with that, Craig, and then Markley, you can jump in whenever you want.
Yeah. So really the first thing, kind of like everything you've been talking about, like, you can't just go in and just start putting automations. Like, you have to know what your process is, how you get a client, where they come from, what's the customer journey, like all those things. You need to have that mapped out. And then once you have that, then it's trying to figure out what are the things in that process that we can automate. Because you don't want to automate everything. You just want to automate the things that make sense. And the big thing is lead generation and nurturing. Like, those are the big things. People get leads and then they don't follow up with them, and then they lose them.
Amen.
Or even clients, like, people have bought from you and you don't have a follow up that's like, hey, how's it going? Just constantly in front of them, just letting them know about what's going on, just constantly being in front. And without automation, it's very difficult to do that as just manually.
And let me jump in really quick for everyone watching too, and really understand what Craig is saying, because once again, I get into more of the networking side, the sales, the social media. I like helping you show up, basically, right? But even if you show up and you show up daily, if you don't on the back end have a way that people can feel like they have access to you, connect with you. And on the flip, what you're saying is nurturing them, because that could be, that one email could be the difference in them going with you versus going with this other person. And, once again, transparency for me, I was horrible at that, which is why I finally said, Markley and I just had a conversation about something else we were going to do, following up in the email campaign. So I was like, let's do the weekly spark, because my type of personality, I am not going to sit and read. We're not talking about sending out, every single day, these big long emails every day. But it's like, hey, it's just kind of like a little tap on the shoulder, right? Like, hey, just let you know here's a super valuable tip or video I want to share. And I know we're going to get into more of this on the third night with you, but they can also automate those things, right?
100%.
Okay.
Can automate them coming in. So another thing about automation is tagging people and segmenting them into specific audiences. So when you are nurturing them, it's a message for them. They came in, this person bought this thing, or this person, was interested, they got this lead magnet. So what make the follow-ups relatable to how they came in? Because that's gonna keep them interested more than if you're just sending the same blast to your entire team.
And that's important, because, and where Markley can come in, is a lot of people back away from when they hear the word bot and chat bot, because they're like, oh, I hate bots. But what they don't understand is, you can personalize it almost to their brand voice and their tone, the way they're going. And at some point, Markley, can jump in and actually start having the real conversation.
Exactly.
So so Markley, from your standpoint, if we have 50 leads come in today and they've reached a certain point, we set it up and they come to you. So how would you help someone, or what would you recommend is from that business strategy standpoint, right? So now, without the bot, they have 50 leads come in. What are the odds that they're going to follow up with everyone? Or they have the bot, and then Craig, as Craig explained, it goes into the CRM, and then we can have it set up to do what? What are some of the things that you could have it do, Markley?
Right. So like you were saying, without the bot, those 50 leads, are you going to message back every single one of those leads? And how often is that happening? Is one falling through the cracks? What's happening? And then if you're putting those into the email funnels, someone's going to fall through there. So if you have this automated bot that is able to tag all of these people and get through, then you actually have a formula there in front of you. Whether it's purchasing a product from you, you have this list A, B, and C. List A needs this, list B bought this, and we can sell them this. Or list C, we're moving them over here and we're nurturing them. We're trying to get more of a relationship with them. So you have more detail about your business. That's just what you need right there. What are people interested in? So that's a big thing right there. It's telling you what people are interested in.
Yeah. And you brought up another valid point. That's the beautiful thing about what Craig does is we don't do free consultations. We qualify. So in your business strategy, I will say definitely in the field that I was in, and I know if you're watching and you're a trainer or you're a health coach or you're a life coach and you're like, oh yeah, let's jump on a call. Let's jump on a Zoom call. How many times do you do that and people waste your freaking time? Number one, because you weren't clear about who you are, what your offer is. Like they don't have the budget. Okay. Well, right off the bat, we have a form. So, I know we're not on Instagram, but like if you DM me on Instagram right now, if you DM the word ignite, because that's typically what I prompt everyone, you will automatically go to our bot, and it's going to ask you questions because I need to know the answers to decide if I'm going to jump on a call with you. And if you don't know those answers, guess what I'm going to say? Until you're at a place you can answer them, jump in the Spark Academy. It's $49 a month. No harm, no foul. And your first 30 days is free anyway. Right? We've made this so easy to eliminate all of those things that you worry about. But I know I'm not going to jump on a call and pour into you when you're not even ready for that. So for those of you that are in a similar business where you are coaching or consulting people and you need to qualify that person, have those set up. So that's the beautiful thing about the bot. So, like we have a client, she's running a detox. Okay. So she's putting all this information out. Now, without a bot, guess what she has to do? Email me, DM me, email me, DM me. But, is she missing those opportunities? And when she gets them, then what happens? So between what both of you are talking about, the beauty of it is it goes into your CRM. It's tagging them on how they came in. Then, so Markley, we could go back and set up several different types of campaigns, right? To nurture the person to get the information that they need.
Exactly.
So what else from the business strategy standpoint, if they're auditing, right? What are some of the things that you feel like, Craig, I'll go back to you first, is what are some of the things you feel like they're missing from that lead generation strategy? And I know we're going to break it down a lot more on Wednesday night, but what are some of the things that you feel like they're missing?
I mean, it's really like everything we're saying, pre-qualifying, because you want to save your time. So making sure you're not getting on a call with every single person, and automation enables you to do that. For example, we have an attorney, and what we did was we created automation that asks all the preliminary questions first, and based on how they answer, it goes to this team or it goes to this team. So it saves them a ton of time, because people can just answer the questions, and then the automation knows, oh, they answered this way, send them over here. So now when the team gets it, they already know this is a qualified person, because they went through, all these things, and they don't have to waste time asking those questions over and over. Same with the realtor. Instead of asking the questions, spending all that time, let them answer, and not a form. A chat bot is people, they're finding people will complete a chatbot much faster than an actual web form, because it's conversational and it's easy. You just tap, because you're pretty much kind of guessing how they're going to answer and having that response for them.
And that's what I love about, when, like we were saying, it is personalized. So it's like, if you go down the little graphs that we used to do when we were in school, do you like me? Yes or no?
Yeah.
If the answer is yes, then go here. And if the answer is no, but I mean, really, that you can put your personality into it. I think what is the first thing mine says is like, are you ready to ignite your business? And then it says, yeah, I'm ready. Because I want them to say, for me, my motto is it's a hell yes or hell no. Like, we don't do the in between. Like, if you're not ready to go all in, once again, head over to the Spark Academy. We'll get you fired up over there. But if you're going to come to us, I want you ready. And, a lot of you just hearing the words that we're saying, I know you can probably imagine it, but you just don't understand how great it feels when you have the automation set up. And you're not doing all those. I mean, add up all the 15-minute phone calls and coffee chats, or the energy suckers that kept you on there for an hour acting like they were gonna, buy in, and of course they didn't. And look, it can still happen. I mean, it takes a while to build out a foolproof system. We don't even do those. We charge for the consultation, because we create value either way. We create an opportunity for you whether you end up working with us or not. We give you a ton of advice, but we didn't always do that. I mean, when I first started, I was doing them for free. And then I think I did them for like $99. So it's a building phase. Markley, what else from the business strategy standpoint also do you feel like, when you're onboarding new clients yourself, what are some things that you really would say, hey, I think you should consider probably delegating or outsourcing this pretty quickly, because it's going to create issues?
Oh, that's so tough. Man, there's so many options. For me, and I guess from my personal standpoint, it's social media. Social media, I mean, that will just take you over. So that's why, I mean, look at the Phoenix Factor. I mean, you're getting the graphics, you're getting engagement, all of these things that I don't know how long it would take me, if I had to do it on my own. It's a tremendous amount of time. And that's even for my own. If you're starting out and you're doing all of this on your own, it's costing you so much money because you're building this. That is not generating you any revenue to create your own graphic in Canva or however you're doing it. So if you can outsource that, the amount of hours that you are saving per week, that's probably my number one is social media. Just get it out, have somebody else take it for you. The Phoenix factor is preferable, So,
Yeah, and I tell everyone, look, I mean, a lot of them are like, oh, I can hire, I can hire a VA, and you're a VA, and you're saying, because here's the thing, how serious are you about your business? Right? About the brand and the messaging and all of the things. So understand, you can go out and find a lot of people to do the jobs, but do your due diligence and make sure you're hiring the people. And once again, that's why we created this team. I don't know jack about automations, you guys. And I don't pretend to. I know more now because I've learned so much from Craig. But it's not me. And so what I love is where it went from Jen and I for all those, years to the last 6 months of having, Craig coming on automations, the CRM. Even those of you, when you're auditing right now, let's say you're someone that offers a course, you're on Kajabi. Literally, Craig has this incredible way that he pulls everything under one umbrella, let's say, so that everything's talking to each other, and your people are not missing out. You're not missing out, but guess what? You're not in constant, fight or flight mode of like, did I do that? Did I remember that? Did I, all of the things. And then you've got someone like Markley, and this is why, all of our clients, we just implemented this. All of our clients are given time with Markley because, number one, how many of you got 5,000 emails in your inbox right now? And what are some of the other, engaging on social media, checking social media. A lot of you don't realize on your Instagram right now, you have a primary, you have a general, and you have a request as far as your inbox. A lot of you go to that one section. If you actually look up there, some of you as business owners, you have missed the boat. I think, I don't know if it was Nicole, one of our clients said she had 50 something messages. She went back and followed up though, and actually got 2 high ticket clients out of it, but she didn't even know it was there. And that's the things. If you don't know, you don't know. And all of us coming together. So I'm going to bring Jen back up here in a sec, but I do want to say, once again, we have the burn seat on Friday, different times. If you're interested, comment burn seat. If you want to be a guest tomorrow, Wednesday, as we go into more conversation, we're going to be taking a really deep dive, tomorrow more into the processes and systems. We're going to be talking about lead generation Wednesday and building a community, which we think is very important, especially for those of you that are localized or brick and mortar businesses. You need that for that foot traffic. Who's telling people to walk in your door? We got to think about that, right? So we want to introduce you to all of these things. And even though we know it may be overwhelming, know that you can step into the Spark Academy. Your first month is free. You can ask any questions you want. We will answer those questions. We go live. You get to go live with us and do a Q&A at the end. All the replays today are available 24/7. So all the ones that we've already done, even if you haven't been a member, you can go in and view those. And we created this concept because we were where you may be now, is sitting in frustration and like, how do I do this? We ultimately want to be doing it for you. We want to help you get so successful that you need us as a team. I'll be transparent about that. We want to work with you, right? But we want you to understand every aspect of it so that you're not hiring the wrong people. You don't need to know how to do a chat bot or automations or the CRM, but Craig wants to make sure you understand how it works. You don't need to know how to set up your email campaign, but Markley wants you to know how it's working, why it's working. It's like Jen was saying, like the processes that are go into these projects, all these little, she thinks of the craziest, smallest details sometimes. And I'm like, oh, I still wouldn't think of those. And they matter. They matter in the long run, so when you're auditing your business. So I'm going to bring Jen back up because we're getting close to the top of the hour. Hello.
Hello.
I'm going to look down. then I'm gonna look left. See, it's like the Brady one. I love it. So tell you what, why don't everyone, like, just to recap this as at the end of the conversation, let's leave everyone with, from your skill set, right? From your wheelhouse, from how you work with your clients. What is the one thing you're like, look, if you're going to audit one thing, this is the thing I want you to go take a look at tomorrow. And if you have questions or you need help, obviously you guys reach out to us. But Jen, I'll go down to you first. If it's the one thing you're like, if you only audit one thing after this conversation, what do you want it to be?
You know where I'm going. It's your calendar. I mean, you have a set number of hours in your day, and if you are not making the most of the time that you have to spend in your business, working on your business, then it's you can burn through your week easily and be busy and not get anything accomplished and move forward. So I would say, if it's anything, if you're feeling like I don't have a spare minute in the day, or you can't look back at the end of your week and say, these are all the things that I moved forward on, these are the goals that I'm, making a difference in, then it's time to take a really hard look at it and shine it up and just make it better.
Yeah. If you don't have time now, how in the hell are you going to have time later when you really do get busy?
Right.
And I'm saying this as a single mother of 2 children in school, running, technically 2 businesses now. So,
right.
Yeah, you need it. So I love that. I love that. Craig, from your standpoint, what's the one thing you're like, if you audit anything tomorrow, this is what you got to do?
Well, definitely you need automation, but you need the process first, so you know what to automate. So make sure you have a pipeline of, this is where my client comes in and they do this, and when they do this, I want them to go here. You just got the journey. What is that journey, and what are all the pieces on each of those? And once you have that, then you can start to see what makes sense to automate.
Love it. Yep. And that's so true. I mean, you gotta understand, I would call that almost the client journey. As you get them, you're attracting them. Like, what do you want that experience to be? What do you want that to be like? And ask them what it's like. Go back, take the constructive criticism, let people tear you down. I know that sounds crazy. But that's what lit a fire up under me way back when. And, I needed to hear that. And so going back now, we do ask our clients, and it's not always great, but when it's not great, guess what we do? We fix it. Because if you don't know, they're probably just going to leave and never tell you.
Yep.
So Mark Lee, from your standpoint, what's the one thing you're like, you got to audit and fix this?
Yeah. So I think that you need to take down a list, whether it's 1 day or 3 days within your week. You need to write down the time, what you're doing. It's going to take a lot for that day or those first few days, the time and what exactly you're doing. So that's going to show you, how often are you checking your email? How often are you flipping in between these browsers, or flipping in between clients and working on one client 6 different times in 1 day? So when you're doing that, you're going to be able to see, okay, what can I continue doing? How can I organize this? And what can I outsource?
Ooh, that's good. That's my biggie with my ADHD. I say I have to have a timer, and I have to have time block. And I literally, no joke, you guys, I have Post-it notes. I'm looking at my table. So in the morning, I write on the Post-it note, I'm like, you have to do these 3 things before you can do anything else. Yeah. Because my brain and if you are creative, I'm a creative. I mean, look, anybody could come to me anytime, any day and say, want to create content, I'm in. I can jam that out. But all the other stuff that you got to do, I'm like, ugh, and I just get distracted so easily. So that is part of the brain dump. When Jen does that, which I know you kind of work together on that, but that's one of the things Jen does. She's like, how much time you just spend thinking about the things you should be doing, but you're not actually doing them. You could be outsourcing. It's like that vicious cycle of things. And that's why it's good to have someone like you who can almost kind of hold them accountable too. Like, hey, this was on your list. Even if it's things they still have to do, Mark Lee could say, okay, you had XYZ on your list yesterday. Did you knock those out? No, I didn't get Y done. Okay, well, let's schedule this here and, get it done. So I think that's super important. For me, I'm gonna go completely opposite of what probably everyone thinks I'm going to say. If you're going to audit your business, I would ask you, the one thing I would audit is your why. Because at the end of the day, what you're going to find when it gets tough, and it's going to get tough as you're figuring things out, if your why is not strong enough, and it's about money, or any of those things, you're going to be sorely disappointed in yourself. And so, to me, going back to the audit, it's like, why am I doing this? What's my ultimate desired outcome? What mark do I want to leave? A lot of people look at us and they think we're just a social media company. We do so much more. And when you work with us, you'll find the first thing I hit is, I want to know where you're at up here in your mind and in your heart, because sometimes that's all you got. I mean, it's, we've all been there. It gets tough. And when you're going in to have that confidence, right? So with your why being strong, a lot of you are like, oh, I'm not good at sales. It's not that you're not good at sales. It's that you haven't built that foundation, that armor that you're going to need, the systems, the processes, all the things we're talking about tonight. It's almost like an armor. Don't you guys feel way more confident having them in place now versus when you started? You're like, what do I charge? And what if they're not going to pay that? And, oh, well, maybe I should do this for free. And, just all these things start flooding in. And so I would just say, audit your why, audit your who, and audit your boundaries. So you have personal boundaries, you need professional boundaries. Trust me when I tell you this, you need professional boundaries. You need to know who you want to surround yourself with, why you want to, what you expect. Be clear about those expectations, and know that it's okay to leave that circle and go to another circle. We've experienced that. I mean, we're family now. I think that you'll see the four of us together and the other coaches for a very long time. It took us a long time to find each other, but we worked so well together. And I hope that you can all find that. And we're more than happy to share how we did that as well, to build it. But I think this gave everyone a lot to think about as far as auditing your strategies, your systems. So you guys listen tomorrow night. Stacy Moore, who was one of our other Spark coaches, she's going to be joining us. She's called the operator for a reason. So join us and find out why she is called the operator. But if you've ever heard the term a resource broker, relationship expert, and from the professional standpoint, she's phenomenal. So she's going to be giving us some input. And then Wednesday night, Craig is going to be really taking the deep dive. We're going to take a deep dive into the lead generation. And I think is Stacy back with us Wednesday night?
I'm on Wednesday.
You are? Okay. I couldn't remember. So the lives are up. Join us then. Go back and watch the replay. Comment guest if you want to join us. Comment burn seat if you want to bring you and your business on live. Let's look at everything you're doing. Let us pour into you. Let us help you out. No strings attached. Anything that we can do for you guys, that's what we're here for. The Phoenix factor is to know that you're going to run into problems. When you do, we're going to help you ignite your business. We're going to help you burn through those issues, and we're going to help you rise up and support. And that's what we're here for. So thank you to Mark Lee and Craig and Jen for joining me tonight. But you guys check out the Spark Academy for more information on that. Once again, it's thesparkacademy.club. Or definitely, reach out to any of us, connect with us, follow Mark Lee, follow Craig. I think we're actually all on LinkedIn, which is awesome. We're all on Facebook. We're all on Instagram. We're all on TikTok. I'm on Snapchat. I'm trying to just cover it all. So, but wherever you are, reach out to us, connect. We'd love to connect. We really do mean it. We want to connect with you personally, have conversations with you. So comment or DM us, and we'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, same place.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.